everyone, Jess here from the Scrappy Sisters, and as soon as I saw the gorgeous Jen Hadfield ephemera and wood veneer pack, I just knew they were perfect for card making. They had so many gorgeous sentiments that just really spoke to me for gift cards that I decided I would give it a go. I'm not generally a card maker. I don't make a lot of cards, so it was a little bit out of my comfort zone. So I had to make this video quite fast, so I apologise if that's a little bit too fast for you to watch, but it would have been a very long video otherwise. So I've made 6 cards, and as you can see, I already had card bases. I just had these in my stash, and they were originally squares, but I didn't like the look of the square, so I cut them down to be a standard 4x6 card. And as you can see here, I'm working with this first one, and I've just matted that with a slightly smaller 4x6 piece of paper. So it's not true 4x6, it's a little bit smaller, so it leaves the border of the light blue card base around it. And then I'm going to use this dark blue piece of paper. I played with the idea of switching it over and using the back side, which is that really light sort of green teal colour, but I've decided I'm just going to have a lot of layers happening. So I'm popping my wood veneer to this light green piece of paper, and I'm doing a double string bow, and then wood veneer just with double-sided tape straight onto that piece of paper, and I'm going to cut that in the shape of the tag. Then I'm going to put that in the center of the dark blue, but I'm actually going to turn the dark blue into a pennant or into a flag. So that's going to stick on there as well. Now, I just changed my blade, but it is so blunt. It's leaving everything a little bit furry, so I obviously need to invest in some new ones. You can see as well that I skipped all of that out because it took me quite a lot of time, but I just used my pen to draw some fake stitching around the dark blue, putting that little sentiment down along the bottom, and then the wood veneer will go on top of the pennant flag, and that first card will be done. So lots of layers of paper, really showcasing the different colors and the different types of paper in this collection, and letting that wood veneer sort of have center, be the front and center of the card. And in most of my cards, that's what I'm doing today. I chose not to use any of the ephemera this time around and to just use that gorgeous wood veneer, and letting them all be front and center. I will have some close-ups at the end of this video so that you can see all 6 of the cards in a bit of a more still format. I really love this patterned paper that came with the Crafternoon collection from Kaiser Craft. It is just gorgeous. I really love the flowers, and I really just love the colours in this whole collection. It really speaks to me, the colours in this collection. And I found it really, really easy to use. It is, it just also so fluid and matches together so well. So you saw there I got out a piece of vellum. It's not actually vellum, it's what I call my pretend vellum, my fake vellum, and it's actually tracing paper. The reason why I have tracing paper is I just find it so much cheaper that it's a much better option for me to use with my crafting, because otherwise the vellum itself is probably twice the amount of a pad of tracing paper, so it just works better for me. So as you can see, I got that gorgeous bit of orange spot, and I've got double-sided tape on the back, and I'm just wiggling around some thread, and that thread is just going to stick out the sides of that piece of paper to just add a little bit of texture to this card. And it'll also be the same coloured thread, or the same type of thread as I used to tie off the tag. I also put that orange bit flush on the far right hand side, so you don't see the blue card base all the way around that card. I'm actually finding it quite tricky to talk to you about the process of what I'm doing today. It seems to me fairly straightforward when you're watching the video to be able to see the process. So I do find that a little bit tricky. As you know, vellum, so tracing paper is see-through, so I didn't want to put any double-sided tape where it would be noticeable. So that is only stuck down right in the very center where the wood veneer is going as well. And so that does mean that the sides of the tracing paper aren't stuck down, but it's okay. I kind of like the effect of having it sort of sticking up just a little bit. I also pulled out those Corbett Creation hearts and just used my white glue to connect that onto the side of the wood veneer. So this time I have got out a circle wood veneer. I think this one says Celebrate. As you probably saw right at the start of the video, I have the 3 circles and the 3 little girl tags that I'm going to be creating into cards today. I did also mention in the ephemera pack, there are a lot of sentiments that you could absolutely incorporate into cards. I could have combined them into the cards that I'm making now, or I could have actually made even more cards, just kept going using those sentiments too. So I'm just die cutting out a circle and a Florida circle, don't know what you call those, using these are actually Stampin' Up! Layer circle dies, just to give the wood veneer something to sit on. So I'm using that same technique where I get some tape on the back and pull out some gold thread. Again, this is Stampin' Up! Gold thread, and I'm just flicking that thread around and securing it down in the center on the double-sided tape. It just makes it a little bit easier to place where I need it to be. And then I've got a little bit of blue sort of cord ribbon, so I'm just going to pop that on as well. I'm actually just going to wedge the ribbon in between the 2 pieces of foam because it's quite thick, that I didn't want to put it on top of something and have a lump and bump there. So I did stick that up on foam tape, and then I've got my blue circle in the center. My wood veneer is going on top of that, and it looks a little bit like a medal or a plaque on the page there. So I'm going to pop a couple of stars because it's about celebrating, and they sort of speak to me about having to celebrate. And I did trim the end of that blue ribbon. I just forgot at that time and didn't do it till later off screen. So this time I'm going to cut 3 squares. I started off attempting to cut 2" by 2" squares, and then for some silly reason I messed that up. So they actually end up being 1 1/2 or 1 3/4 maybe. But 2" squares wouldn't have worked anyway because they would have been a little bit too big. So I did want them a little bit smaller than 2 inches. So I'm just again cutting my base page here in approximately 4 by 6. And I'm going to use the gorgeous navy blue side this time. I really love that navy blue color. I do really love this multicolor pattern, but the navy blue is just gorgeous. So I'm putting that down. And then again with these 3 squares, I'm actually going to put those flush all the way to the edge instead of having the pink showing all the way around. And I quite like the effect that that has. And then I've got my last little girl tag, and she's going to sit approximately there. Just popped her on this little bit of blue. I think I chose to put her on the blue because there's enough sort of pink going on in the page already. Normally I would have put her on the pink to match in with the card base, but I think because the pattern paper has so much blue, I went with pink instead. But then I decided the blue was a little bit strong, a little bit sharp for this layer. The blue that's actually in the pattern paper is a little bit softer, a little bit more pastel. So I just sort of dulled it down a little bit by putting the tracing paper on top. then it needed something else, so I decided to get one of those gorgeous florals out of the sticker book, and I actually stuck it on a plain white sheet of paper and fussy cut it out, and then so it's more like a piece of ephemera than it is a sticker. I do that quite a bit with my stickers when I'm not 100% sure of how I want them to be or where I want them to go, or if I'm not sticking them flat to the page. It just gives them a bit more stability and they're not so floppy when they're being popped up. Just popped a little bit of tape underneath both the flower and the tag. Not tape, sorry. I did use tape, but I meant string, more of that cotton. It's actually embroidery thread, what I'm using. It's crochet thread, I should say. It's quite old. It's probably about 40 years old, this crochet thread. Getting some blue diamantes. So really quick and easy little cards. These cards probably took maybe 10 minutes each to create, and that's definitely because I am not a card maker. If you were a card maker, or if you were specifically copying what I've already done, it would be so much quicker for you. Maybe 5-minute cards, like then there's not all that much to them. And they were just really simple and easy to get done, and I think really, really effective. They look really cute. So hopefully this inspires you to maybe use up some of your stash to make some cards. I've got my 2 bases ready on my last 2 cards. I was going to do them simultaneously side by side and then realised that might be a little bit confusing for people when they're watching. So I do pop the other card out of the way-ish in a minute and just focus on one at a time. But you could definitely set up a chain gang if you're making cards in a similar vein or a similar fashion. You could cut the same sort of pieces of paper as you go, but all of mine are a little bit different. Deciding between whether I wanted to use that navy blue sewing paper, or if I wanted to use the other side. But I decided the navy blue was the better colour choice in this particular layout. Just layering up a few different bits of paper. And that larger piece is going all the way across. And so again, not showing the border. Now I had stuck all this down, but then decided I really liked the idea of wrapping this ribbon around, or not ribbon again, sorry, crochet thread around. So I just pulled it back up from the double-sided tape and just popped it back down again. There we go. And I just really like the effect of having that tape wrapped around, that thread wrapped around has on the card. Played around with adding a few more bits of strips of paper, but no, they didn't look right. So just popped that pink dot up on tape and then put the wood veneer on, and then again had another play with a few different coloured rhinestones to see what I thought suited the best. I ummed between the pink to match in or the blue to match in, and in the end I went with the blue. The pink was a little bit too bright and a little bit of off colour. That's a really, really simple card, that one. I thought about putting something else on the top half of the card, but in the end I thought I'd keep it, let the paper do the talking and keep it really simple. So putting this little bit of branding strip down across the bottom, I really liked that particular branding strip. It has, again, the sewing on it, and I thought it was really cute. And so I'm putting it in line with the border, so it's the exact same 4x6 size. But then the next little piece of paper I get, I'm actually going to cover the whole way across, just like I did on the other card. I kind of just like the way sometimes breaking up the border, the look that gives. I was able to cut that paper by hand because that side of the paper has a grid pattern, and I could just follow one of the lines, which was really cute. So I'm umming and ahhing about what to do and what I want next. I decided I need a little gift tag. I also cut 2 more of those circles, same in that similar vein as the medal that I made on the other layout. But if you can notice, I didn't cut the light blue circle the correct size, so I was being lazy. I couldn't be bothered recutting everything, so I just covered that circle up and left it with the flourish paper because I couldn't be bothered. I really wanted to include that blue paper to have a few more touches of blue, but I decided the tag was enough. I was so close to being finished by this stage. I was like, nah, it's fine. So I'm going to pop that tag behind, but it still needed something else. So I decided I'd pull out one of those flare pieces because I think that will look really cute on the page as well. So everything's a little bit layered on top of each other in this one. So I had to sort of stick it down at the same time to make sure I was getting the tag in the right spot. Popping on the Thinking of You wood veneer, popping on the little flare, and then a few rhinestones, and we are done. So here is the finished images, and I've got some close-ups coming through now. You can see the fake stitching I put around the dark blue of this one, and how cute the thread underneath, as well as the vellum looks, just to dull down some of the colors a little bit. I really enjoyed making these cards. I hope it has inspired you to perhaps give that a go with some of your scrapbook supplies. Please stay tuned for some more videos. Please like and comment. I'll make sure I'll comment back to you, and have a great day. Bye everyone.